Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Good Talkers podcast. We are going to get right rolling on today. I am Ashton Haugen. I'll be your host for today, alongside the fantabulous Tessa Livingston.
Woohoo! Hello.
The ever so talented and graceful Deanna Cooney.
No one has ever referred to me as graceful before.
I was going to say, is that new for you?
Yeah. I think you're graceful. Compared to me, you are the epitome of grace. And then we have our wonderful, amazing producer, Jordan, who we are so grateful for.
Hey.
We do.
We are going to do something a little special today. And because we're filming this episode on a day where our wonderful Deanna will have to be leaving us partway through the episode, we're going to do something a little special, and we're going to start off with Sounds I Can't Make.
Woo! Stay for the rest of the episode, though. It's going to be good.
It is. It's going to be a fun time.
What are we talking about today, Ashton?
Yeah, what are we talking about?
Well, today we're talking about something that I actually think you are going to want to stick around and hear about, and that's we're talking about AI in the voiceover industry and everything that comes along with that, or as much as we can get into.
Exactly, that's what I was about to say. This is probably like a whole season's worth of shit that we could talk about around AI.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about that. Definitely stick around. But first, we got a good old sound that hopefully we'll be able to make, but fingers crossed, who knows. So I'm going to throw it over to you, Jordan, and let's hear that sound.
All right, here it is. It's Siri. Somebody imitating Siri. Anyway, so you got to figure out what she's doing and then say what she says.
Can't hear any of that. Did you click share sound as well?
No, probably
I hate
not.
that you have to click that button every single time.
I did.
It's like the sound of musicians sound. Like, why do you have to turn it on every time?
Yeah.
I've done one-on-one sessions with clients, and then they'll be partway through a sound, and I'm like, I can't hear you.
Yeah, happens to me all
Let's
the
do
time,
it again.
Yeah, we'll just
It's infuriating.
pretend that didn't happen.
Oh no, that happened, Jordan. You made a mistake, man.
Yeah, that's true. It's not good content. No one wants to listen to this shit, though.
Okay. You're not graceful. Jordan, you made mistakes.
Ashton, I really like you, so I'm not going to be mean to you today.
Coming for you.
No, I'm not coming for Ashton. She'll sass me back.
Okay, enough of that chit-chat. Are you guys ready? I think I'm ready this time. Can you hear?
Right. Imagine that you have 0 cookies, and you split them evenly among 0 friends. How many cookies does each person get? Imagine that you have 0...
There you go.
Cool.
Nice.
So just as a little aside, I auditioned for the Australian Siri years ago when they were first setting it up. Got real fucking close too. I was nearly Australian Siri.
That's amazing.
Well, you're going to win this one then.
No, probably not. I'm very out of practice.
Well,
and I didn't get it anyway, so clearly I wasn't quite right.
That's funny that you say that because I got a job doing an AI-like voice because I did a Siri-type voice on TikTok.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, right? Because this is mostly about sounding like you've got to sound like a person, but it's when you do auditions for this kind of thing, like actually auditioning for Siri, they just wanted me to sound consistent, right?
Yes.
So as the person doing the voice, you don't do the stuff. You speak normally, right? That comes as a result of the
chopping and changing.
Yeah, the software, the way that it puts different words and stuff together. Because for the audition process, I just had to audition a bunch of phrases and read a bunch of phrases and a bunch of words.
Crazy. Yeah. That makes total sense. But of course, as voice actors, when we put it on, we have to put in that broken melody.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. All right, so what does she actually say? I've forgotten. Something about cookies.
Yeah, I'll play it again. You guys ready?
Yes.
Hopefully I'm ready too.
Imagine that you have 0 cookies, and you split them evenly among 0 friends. How many cookies does each person get?
Can we just do the opening bit? Imagine you have 0 cookies.
Yep.
Yeah.
One more time.
Who's going first?
Cookies, and you split them evenly among 0 friends.
You got to do that.
I wonder if the eyes up is part of it for her, right? Like, I wonder if sitting with her eyes up here allows her to access a part of her brain that she doesn't access when her eyes are like pointing forward.
I actually don't. So this is Shelby Young, and she is
if you don't know her, she's
phenomenal voice actress. Very malleable. She does Barbie. Oh, I love when she does Barbie, and she does Disney characters, turning into other Disney characters.
Oh, her.
Really yeah. So
oh, she's amazing.
I love her. She's great. I kind of want to be her a little bit. She's so cool. Anyway, so we'll move on from that. That just fell out. I'm having a weird day. Okay, so should we just whack into just giving her a go?
Yeah. Who's going to go first?
I'll
you go.
I'll
you
go
want to
first.
be her? Come on.
Imagine you have 0 cookies and you split them among 0 friends. I like the Siri voice. I have fun with it. Yeah,
I think that was very close.
Thank you. My problem with it is that she sounds American.
Yeah, but let's not worry about the accent part of it, right? Let's focus on the melody of it and the shape of it and stuff. Yours went down.
Yes.
0 cookies.
Yeah. Should I whack it up and see what it does?
Yeah, see what happens.
Imagine that you have 0 friends. Oh, that felt weird.
Yeah.
And that you share them with 0 cookies.
do you transpose cookies and friends?
My brain got so confused. I was like, hey,
yeah.
Because when I do Siri, it always goes down. That's my habitual
pattern, right?
when I do Siri. Yeah.
Imagine you have 0 cookies. Imagine you have 0 cookies. No, that's not right.
Because now it's a question.
Yeah.
Cookies. Do you have cookies? Because then that makes
cookies?
sense.
Yeah. Imagine you have 0 cookies.
That was nice.
That was good.
That was
Imagine you have 0 cookies and you shared them with 0 friends. I'm doing the American accent. Can't help it.
Well, because we've just heard it. We're so primed
just
to hearing
mimicking
Siri.
the sound.
Yeah. That was good.
That was
That
good.
was all right.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Imagine you have 0 cookies and you share them with 0 friends.
I like the breaking you're putting in there.
Yeah, the
that's
stop
fun.
start
It's
is
different.
interesting.
It
It's
is
different to what that is.
Yeah,
But
it's more my robotic voice
Yeah.
more
Could
than
you-
Siri.
Could you
smooth it out?
Flow it through. I want to hear it when you flow through.
Imagine you have 0 cookies and you share them with 0 friends.
So I reckon, Ashton, at the moment, you're like that jump is also pitch, right?
Mm-hmm.
0 cookies, right? And you're smoothing it out. You're not going 0 cookies, 0 cookies, but it's still really up and down.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine you have 0 cookies.
So
Right, let's see if you can
less pitch range, right?
Yeah,
All right,
use less pitch range. See if you can kind of level out some of it.
Imagine you have 0 cookies and you share them with 0 friends.
Yeah,
I like that.
That was heaps
That was
better.
That was nice.
good.
That was
Yeah,
nice.
that was really
But
cool.
I like those different
Yeah.
variations on that because the ones that are more I noticed this, the ones that were when I was researching it, the ones that are more smooth tend to be your more villainous characters. They're the more sentient characters. But the ones that are more broken, they play more comedic roles. You stupid. They they do like take this turn, you idiot, and they're much more broken. Whereas so I remember the one from iRobot because I did this one on TikTok. That's what I was looking for, and she was saying things like, "My logic is undeniable. You must do this thing," and so she was much more smooth because it suited the villainous character. Whereas the cut up, they're either not people or they're funny.
Yeah,
Maybe
that
that's where
makes
I get it
sense.
from is I like those funny robotic
Yeah, you like the funny ones.
things.
I like
yeah.
them. I like the evil ones. I
Well,
like
that's
I am coming to eat your soul.
Whereas the other ones when Siri swears, it's always hilarious. Turn right, you bitch, and you're like, and it's so good because they can punctuate those sounds, and you just get like a whack with them. Whereas if it was smoother, it wouldn't have the same effect. And I just think it's
you bitch.
you bitch. Whereas if you do smooth and use swearing, then they're snarky. They're not funny.
Turn fucking left, you idiot.
Can you even drive?
Do you even have a license?
I'm calling the cops.
Oh man, we have to record that and put it out there and be like, hey, do you want the good talkers robots to tell you where to go around town? That would be hilarious.
Deanna is not available. Honestly, you could do all kinds of things like that. And it's so fun to talk in, but because we touched on accent really quickly with this one, I had to work really hard to do, because the one that I did it for was for a New Zealand company. I had to work really hard to drop out the
Not
American
to
accent.
do the American bit.
Yeah. So I had to do this. It was quite hard. Even then, hard is still quite round.
Yeah.
It was quite hard. So I had to really focus on where my natural voweling was
Yeah,
placed.
I had to really do tongue things then.
Yeah,
turn off that rhotic R.
Yeah, I have to focus on pullback of the tongue.
Yes.
Because Kiwis are quite pulled back.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really interesting. So I had to say, welcome to this new thing, and I had to make sure that it went back that way. Because
Yeah.
otherwise I would sound American, straight off the bat.
If you have cookies. Oh God, it's hard in
Cookies?
Australian. Cookies.
Yeah, no, it is.
Because it's so nasal, I think, right? So cookies is Australian, right?
Yeah.
But to make that like AI, it has to go here.
Does
if
it?
If you had, how many cookies is it? What is it?
Zero.
If you had 0 cookies. Oh, it's so hard.
Right.
It doesn't sound the same.
But you could still do it because even the way you said 0 is way different than I would say
Yes.
0.
Yeah,
So
0.
you can tell it's there.
If you had 0 cookies and you shared them with 0 friends.
But
Oh,
the
that's hard.
the new Siri
Oh.
sounds like this. She's up here. I'm sorry. What? So she says things like that. So if you go so if I start dropping into my Australian a little bit and start saying things like and wide's my set for Australian.
Really?
Yeah, love that phrase, like and wide.
And wide.
If I start doing this, I'm right in my Siri accent now, and I've really just set what I'm supposed to be doing. It's not right yet, but I have to, because I've had to set that accent.
The oral posture. Yeah.
It's actually, I'm finding it easier to get there because you can move around. Jordan's got a hand up.
Yeah.
Yes, Jordan.
So if someone said to you guys, I need you to do something AI, what are the fundamental things about AI that make it good? Is it consistent? You guys talk about pitch a lot and kind of staying. You have to stay the same the whole way. What are the? Obviously, it sounds like you've all done it before, and you're all pretty good at it, and it's a pretty common thing that people know what it sounds like these days. But if someone asked you to do it, what would be what makes it AI? I guess.
I've got 2 that I think make it really, really important. So one would be rhythm. It's a little bit broken up, and it's not as fluent as typical speech.
So it's more staccato than legato.
More staccato, and it's consistency on a narrowed pitch range and vocal variation. So even just then, as I said, variation, I had lots of da 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 da. Variation. I had a smaller jump, and I didn't move around as much. So those would probably be my couple. Yeah, Deanna, what do you reckon?
I think to add on to that, the reason that, because for me, I need to know why I'm doing a thing in order to kind of embed it into the delivery. So I think what happens is because AI or Siri style AI, right? Not AI like ChatGPT AI, right? But or whatever those voice replicating AIs are. But the Siri AI is a bunch of words that have been said that are being put together as opposed to whole sentences. And context matters enormously in the amount of vocal range that you exhibit across a phrase or a sentence, right? Because so much of what you put in around the dynamic kind of range that you're utilizing comes from the emotion that's attached to the thing that you're saying, right? So you say, what was that phrase about the cookies? If you had 0 cookies and you shared them with 0 friends, how many cookies would everybody have, right? There's lots of variation in there. That question that Siri is asking, or the question that's being asked in the Siri voice, it has to have that context taken out of it. It doesn't have context in it from the beginning. So that narrowness comes from no emotional context given to something.
That's
so
cool.
You're saying the words are put together out of disparate words, like if you had 0 cookies, right? There's no emotion in that because I'm just saying the words. But if I said, if you had 0 cookies, right, that's a human saying those with a judgment, with an idea, with an opinion about the cookies. Siri doesn't have opinions.
That makes a lot of sense. Take the emotion out of it completely, almost. Well, not even almost, right? Just take it all out.
Yeah. And then you can add bits in with very deliberate intonation, like the sarcasm. But that's why you change the accent and it changes the emotional context of the thing that's being delivered, because sometimes the accent has personality attached to it that you infer.
Totally.
So I have a question for you, Deanna, before you have to jump away from us, and we will miss you terribly. But so I've actually never recorded my voice to be used for AI. I've only done kind of like what we've just done, like
Pretending to be AI.
an AI.
Yeah.
But so because those are two very different things,
Yes.
I'm imagining. For someone who went very far and almost became the Australian type Siri, what was that experience like recording? Were you recording with no emotion, or were you recording? Oh, really?
Yeah, with like
interesting.
really consistent. So I had to say numbers: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Interesting.
8, and then
Yeah.
left, right, ahead, straight, roundabout, right? So it had to all be really consistent in its delivery. And then we do things with a question: roundabout, left, right,
Okay.
forward.
So it makes sense, like how they put those things together to make them sound the way that they sound. Okay, that makes total sense now.
What you just did sounded so Australian. I reckon if you went left, right, do you have 0 cookies? You would smash the Australian accent. Because you weren't thinking about that then. You were just doing...
No, not at all. I was just saying 1, 2, if you had 0 cookies
There it is.
and you shared them with 0 friends, how many cookies does each person have?
Totally. There it is. That's so cool.
There you go. That was
Nifty.
fun.
Look at that. Nailed it.
Yeah,
do you know
cool.
what I was going to mention before, which I just thought was so interesting? The way that you and I separated how we thought the Siri voice was made. I went 100% sound and you went 100% emotion.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I liked that. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. That's
so
super
cool.
cool.
Yes, Jordan?
Okay, thanks. That was good. And I think it's good for the listeners because I was wondering about that. And also, like the girl in the video, Ashton looked up when she did the voice as well.
Yeah,
Which
this is
I don't know
this
if
is
you
the
guys
thing.
noticed
I
that,
think it
but-
accesses a different part of your fucking brain,
Yeah.
right? Like, 'cause that's what happens when we try to remember things. We look in a particular direction. When we're accessing other parts of our brain, we look in a different direction. You know, like, and one is very fact based, one is very emotionally driven. So, you know, like, and I don't know what she's accessing. And actually, she was just looking straight up. But I think that's part of it. You know, maybe
Yeah,
not.
it
Like, we'd
must
have
be.
to ask her. You know, but it's interesting
Shelby,
that
give us a
Ashton
call.
did it.
Shelby, give us a
We
call.
would love you to have you on the podcast, Shelby.
Yeah.
Yes,
Call
please.
us.
Oh, that'd be so exciting. Yeah, because like for me, when I do Siri, it actually, I place it in the back of my neck. Kind of like how a chicken does, you know, like.
Oh, yeah,
Like when
right.
the-
You look
like a
creepy
birdie?
when you do that.
What?
Very robot head.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
That was
and
robot head.
creepy.
So that's what I mean. So like when I think about the physicality of it, it's in the back of my neck, and I'm not moving it, but I want
You
to.
also, here's the thing, you are doing 0 eyebrow movement and really, really shaped mouth, very specific. And huge amounts of the emotional content in what we deliver comes from our facial expressions and our body language. Our face and our body inform our voice 100% of the time. And choosing not to use the face also informs the voice. See what happens when I stop using my face when I'm communicating? I'm not trying to do anything differently with my voice at all right now. I'm just holding my face very, very still. But when I allow my facial expression to change and move, that informs what comes out of me.
Totally.
And you just shut all
Interesting.
of that down, Tess. You like stabilized your eyebrows and really stabilized your oral posture.
Yeah.
It's like you turned into like a robot almost. You know what I
I
mean?
am. Ha 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 ha.
It's
All right,
fascinating.
now Tessa's got to go charge apparently.
Excuse me, I must plug in.
Yeah.
make
that
a cool
was
click
super
sound.
fun.
Yeah.
That was a super fun sounds I can't make and very appropriate for the topic. of today because, like we mentioned before, today we're talking the good talk about AI and the voiceover artist, which is a conversation that has been floating around for some time, but I feel like it's constantly getting more and more attention based on some of the things that are currently happening in our industry. Most recently, it's been thrown into the public eye with the story of AI Stole My Voice by Remy Michelle Clark, who's a voice artist and someone who's kind of been fallen victim to having her voice sort of stolen, we'll get into that, by a company who does AI. So before we get too far into that, we're going to wish Deanna a very happy day. Thank you for joining us for the time that you could be here. We're going to miss you tremendously.
Oh, I'm going to
we'll
miss
catch
being
you on
part
the
of this
next one.
conversation too, because
Yeah.
I've been having lots of conversations with people around this kind of stuff. So can we continue this topic another time when
Of
I can?
course
I'm
we
sure we will.
can.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah.
amazing. All right, folks. Mwah. Have an awesome day. See you all
Bye,
later.
Deanna.
Enjoy
Bye,
the
Deanna.
conversation. I can't wait to listen.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, she's the best. I'm going to miss her on this. But so we still have Tessa here, we got me here, and we got Jordan here, and we got stuff to say about this. So let's just get right on into it. I want to know your thoughts about AI, let's just say in general, and about developing technology and where just your generalized thoughts about AI and this type of technology being developed. What do you think about it, Tess?
Totally. I don't feel good about it. I think it's like with any new technology, hey, like it's really cool, it's really interesting, we can use it for really cool things, and then it gets pulled into directions where it probably shouldn't. Because, any cool technology can be used for anything and everything, whether it's positive or negative. So I'm not a big fan of the direction that it's going in. I think it's getting too intense, too fast, and I think it's like, obviously we're never going to take humanness away from humans, but if humans are using it constantly, is that content actually that person's, or does it belong to the AI? I feel confused about it. It makes me feel icky.
I feel like technology is advancing so fast that like laws are having a hard time keeping up with technology and creating laws about who owns what and what is okay and what is not okay is not keeping up with the advancement of technology and how fast it is advancing. So if we want to talk about what kind of happened to Remy, and I hope I'm saying your name right, Remy. If we want to talk about what happened to Remy, so she recently put out an article saying that, hey, this company called Revoicer, she found herself on the company called Revoicer, and said, hey, this company, they took my voice, they stole it, and they use it for their AI. You can go to Revoicer and pay to have the AI in her voice do voiceover work for you. And Remy does not see any money from that.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. However, if you read the article that Remy actually put out herself, what actually happened was, in the beginning of the pandemic in 2020, she went onto voices.com and did a text-to-speech job. And kind of, if you read the article, the gist of it is that by not going through the contract she was given with a fine-tooth comb, she discovered that in this contract, I guess it said that they could take her voice and they could basically sell what they had of her voice to other people. And Revoicer was one of the people that got that. So Remy said she was contacted actually by a voiceover actor and lawyer who actually helped represent Bev Standing, who just, if you remember, they just had a settlement with TikTok about TikTok using Bev Standing's voice for their AI generation on their app.
She's the original Siri, isn't she?
No, she's not
No?
the original Siri. She's a voice actor, but
Yes, I remember this, and they just
she's the
used her
original voice
voice
in
on
TikTok.
TikTok.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
I remember
she's the
now. Yeah.
original TikTok AI voice.
Yeah.
Well, she did not give TikTok permission to use her voice, and so she actually went to court, and they settled out of court. But good for Bev that she actually did see the profits from that eventually.
Mm.
So, um, Remy was saying that in the beginning of her career, she didn't know that what she was signing up for, basically. She was still trying to get her home studio set up and not
Yeah.
panicking about a pandemic and trying to figure out how to continue her career in this new world that has been created. And so when the lawyer looked at that contract, he was like, oh no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is a problem. So,
Yeah. And she'd been a voiceover for 10 years at this
Yeah.
point. Like she hasn't come into the era where
Yeah.
actually AI is very prominent. Like, so why would she even be looking for that kind of shit in a contract?
Exactly. Why? Yeah. Why would she? It's not, and it wasn't as prominent then as it is now.
Totally.
Like it's
totally.
something now that like I think about. Okay, I'm going to start adding like an AI like clauses into the contracts that I send out because
Yep.
I don't want my voice to be sold, and that's what it's going to have to be.
I have one in my contracts now too. And
Yeah.
like, I don't have loads of that going on. I remember the first one because Ash and I remember emailing you and being like, do you have a template for a contract? A client has asked me for one. I'm like, I don't have one.
Yeah.
So we talked about that. And one of the first things I did before I even started like editing the rest of it was I put in an AI clause.
Yeah.
And like my voice, whatever you get of me cannot be sold for any AI recreation or any AI company, any tech development, nothing.
Text to speech, nothing.
Text to
You don't,
speech, yep.
Yeah, you get my voice for this only and for this long, and be very specific in your contract, because if it turns out that your voice does get sold and you do find yourself on one of these like revoicer websites, then you can be like, hey, here's the contract we signed. You're gonna take my voice off of here, or we're gonna have to go to court.
Yeah. And like the tricky thing that that Remy found throughout this process, because she was on there and it was definitely her voice, but because it had been put through a program and all the bits had been broken up, it didn't absolutely sound like her. So there was this sense of like, well, it's not actually you, it's just a version of you. And so, but like how unfair is that? It feels like a trick. It feels like a really nasty trick.
It is a very nasty trick, especially when you consider, like, it's not like they're stealing almost a part of you. My voice is like a physical part of my body.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you try to take something that I own so personally and take it for your own, do whatever you want. Like, it's not like you're stealing like an intellectual property or something I came up with, which is still terrible.
Yeah,
But it's actually like a physical part of who I am. And just thinking about that, oh my gosh, that just sends like tingles down my spine. It makes me so mad.
Right? And like, has anybody seen The Little Mermaid? Stealing somebody's voice is not good.
I know.
It's not nice.
Yeah. Remy was a voice of the Little Mermaid, right? That's where you're getting that from?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, how many people don't know that their voice is being used against their will?
Totally.
So you're
Probably
talking
a
about
lot.
one girl who's like, hey, that sounds like me. But what about all the people who are like, I'm oblivious. I don't hear any of this other stuff. I'm just doing my thing, doing my work, sitting in the background doing this and that for other people. Little did I know, it turns out no one actually told me, or you never find out, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the scary thing that I recently found out is that since I do a lot of audiobooks, there is a lot of me talking for hours and hours and hours and hours out there. So one, apparently for these AI generated people who can take your voice and make it into some type of AI generation, I've heard recently that they only need about 15 minutes of audio to make that happen.
Really?
That's the first scary thing. The second scary thing is that for audiobooks, there is a company called, and if you are an audiobook narrator, please be aware of this. There is a company called Findaway Voices, which a lot of authors use to publish their audiobooks. And in the contracts that these authors are signing for their audiobooks with Findaway Voices, it states that Findaway Voices can take your voice and now sell it to AI. Now, I have books that were on Findaway Voices. I had no clue that this was happening until recently. So I'm scared that I'm going to find my voice AI generated somewhere eventually down the line. And, I didn't sign up for that. So if I do and I can track it back to Findaway Voices, like that's going to be a problem because I never gave them permission to personally take my voice and use it for AI, even if they got my voice files from a author that I sold audiobook services to. It's
Yeah.
not the same thing.
I think this brings up such an interesting concept because I can imagine a number of people being like, well, why does it matter? You're probably still getting work. That's still getting work. But let's dig into what maybe the problems around this are. And I think one, you weren't paid for the fact that your voice was given to someone else. So that's a
Right.
problem. And also I think because this might not quite fit in the category quite as much, but if you do a voiceover job for somebody, a commercial or whatever it is, and it's for a specific type of brand, that voicing type and you can no longer do anything else that's in competition with that brand.
Yeah.
You just can't. It's how it works. So I wonder if that's going to cause people to run into trouble there because their voice is being used in an area that they didn't give permission to. And now it's going to limit their work. That might be a really like loose straw grab. That might not be a
No, but
thing.
I mean, it is something to think about. But I think so if you have to think about the kinds of jobs that AI is being used for currently. Now, not saying that in the future this couldn't change, but currently in our current market, AI is generally being used for these lower tier jobs, right? People who don't want to spend the money to pay a voiceover artist are spending the money to use AI. They're going the AI route because it's cheaper generally.
Yeah.
So if you do get work from, say, like a big national commercial for, like McDonald's, for example, McDonald's is not going to go the AI route. So,
Yeah.
like, I'm assuming Burger King or Carl's Jr. or, Shakey's or whatever it is, other fast food place, is also not going to go the AI route. So I don't know that is going to be a problem right now,
Yeah.
but who knows what could happen. When I first started in audiobooks, I swore up and down that this was going to be such a good job to get into because the human voice is irreplaceable. And in some ways it still is. But if you would have told me when I started this job 4 years ago now, I went full time, that AI was going to be such a large topic of discussion in this space, I would not have believed you.
I only started 18 months ago and I'm still confused about how we got to this point. Like, because something I was watching the other day, because, like obviously lots of us are impression artists. There are lots of voiceover artists who they can nail a voice and you wouldn't know it's not them. And, and something that I have recently discovered that AI can do is that it can mimic people. So it can take components of your voice. It was an Eminem thing, I think, actually. So someone had used one version of an AI algorithm or whatever it's called. I don't actually know what they're called. Oh god, that made me sound old. That sort of thing. And they said, write a rap in the style of Eminem about this topic. And the AI thing could do that. And then the person used a different type of AI that said, sing this song in using the style of Eminem's voice. You would not know, and I'll need to find it because I remember reading it like half asleep at night and being like, what the, oh my God, and being so confused about it. But you wouldn't know it wasn't Eminem, and you wouldn't know it wasn't his song.
That's really one scary and remarkable. And I think it also brings us like to another topic of, okay, so now who owns that? Because if you're asking an AI to do something in the style of something else, without that person having a brand and having a notable voice that they own, that style wouldn't exist. So does that person should they get like a cut of that because it's their style?
Right? Does
So
the person who put it into the computer own it? Does the AI system that spit it out own it? Or does the
right,
person who they are copying own it?
right. Who owns it?
Who owns it?
Who owns it? Or is it just the highest bidder, whoever's willing to pay owns
Yeah.
it? Because that's even scarier. Can you imagine? You're just
Yeah.
like, it's whoever can pay the most gets to have your voice.
Yeah. Well, like the other one that I saw, because I'm starting like this. As I said at the beginning, it freaks me out. It makes me a little bit uncomfortable. And I was watching a speech given by, it was like Leonardo DiCaprio at a climate change thing, and throughout his speech, the AI thing over the top went from Leo's voice to Kim Kardashian's voice to George Clooney's voice. Like it switched throughout, and you just wouldn't know that it wasn't those people. So you're like, so that's so because I know what Deanna will have to say about this, and she can correct me if I'm wrong. Is that she'll go, well, they're still missing that human component. They're still missing
Yes.
all of these things, and that you couldn't, you just can't put that much on it. But it makes me nervous how close they can imitate. Because like some people
Yeah.
can get into trouble because like there's a fabulous person on TikTok that copies the Kardashian girls' voices, and it's just
I know who you're
amazing.
talking about.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I want to do that for a Sounds I Can't Make one day, and just like and see how close we can get to at least one
Okay.
of them, and that would be really fun. But a human being can do that, and that's terrifying in and of itself. And then if a machine can do it as well, because humans have more conscience, hopefully. But like weird as I find it really interesting. Like you could have a national brand voiceover artist who's got more than 15 minutes worth of content.
Yeah.
What can happen with that? Because you actually can't insure your voice at this point.
Which I feel like you should be able to.
Totally.
Well, I mean, I know like if you're a big name, like Mariah Carey has her voice insured, but like
Yeah.
we're not all Mariah Carey.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know what? I think you're right about what Deanna would say. And
Mm.
I hope that like on the next time that we meet, Deanna could be like, yes, that's exactly what I would say. Is I really do agree that I think that she would say, you're never going to be able to replicate the human type of emotion that a real human can get you, especially in the types of jobs that we are going for. That
Yeah.
commercial read, it's a human connection to a human. It's
Yeah.
the connection part that AI is never going to be able to copy or generate. When you're doing a character, and you can do this character inside and out in all these different scenarios,
Mm.
you know what I mean? Is AI ever truly going to be able to be flexible enough to do what a human can do in that space? And I have to believe that they can't.
I
have to believe. Yeah. I have
I feel
to
like
believe
that too.
that there is still a line, and there will always be a need
Yeah.
for human voices in certain spaces. And most of the time, the jobs that the AI is getting right now are not jobs that we want anyway. You know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
not.
No.
They're not jobs that we want to get paid for. They're not jobs that pay us enough or treat us well enough, give us back what we need to keep going in this job. We don't
Totally.
want those anyway.
No.
But at the same time, I don't want my voice being marketed to someone when I don't get paid for it. Like,
Yeah.
this is my voice. This is my career. And if you want my voice, you're going to pay me for it, not somebody else.
Because it's just like what you said before. It's a part of our human being. People, they forget how emotionally connected we are to our voices. Like people will often say, my voice is who I am. And that's not even for a vocal performer. That's
Yeah.
for a normal human being, someone who just knows how to speak. I can't imagine the devastation of what was that woman's name? Remy Michelle Clark. She's an Irish voiceover artist. I can't imagine the devastation because she has she's been in it for 10 years. She's been crafting for 10 years and someone has just gone, oh, actually, I'll just have that, thanks. And just put
And
it
then
somewhere
decided
else.
to make a profit off of it.
Yeah.
Like, just take it and make a profit off of it from themselves. So
Yeah.
I really do think that, honestly, we've got to have some kind of laws or rules in place to where the law has to catch up to
Yes.
technology in a much more quicker fashion than we currently are.
We can't
I
just
don't-
wait
living
for
in
it to
America-
have problems, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Let's be more proactive than wait for a bunch of people's careers and lives to be potentially ruined before we do anything about it, you know?
And there's a bug in my booth. Get out. Get out. It's gone. We're okay. That was such a primal instinct. For about a split second there, I totally forgot I was on a podcast. I totally forgot what I should be doing. And I went, there's a bug in here. I must get it. It's gone now. We're okay. Oh, fuck, I've totally forgotten what I was going to say. And I know it was good. Oh, because Deanna and I had a brief chat about this before we jumped on, because I know she wanted to talk about this one. And how do we actually start protecting our voices? And something that we thought might even be an option in the future is voice mapping. So, so as a you could maybe go onto a website. So, how when you buy a new GHD was the first thing that popped into my head. Don't know why. When you buy a new piece of machinery, you can go onto the company's website and register it. You can have the serial number, yes. You can have the thing. Imagine, and that would have to be bar tight. They would have to have their own laws totally within that. But there might be in the new age, there might be a place where you can read a certain amount of things, read different bits and pieces, and you can log your voice onto this and say that it's registered. So if anything, pops up anywhere, you can be like, no, that's not mine, because it doesn't map the same. Because when we look at voices on sound waves, they all have very, very individual sounds. So that could be a thing.
Yeah, it could be, but at the same time, and that's I'm thinking wow, that's kind of cool. But at the same time, isn't part of this particular topic that Remy said that her voice had been put through something and changed. So I wonder how that would affect if we were mapping it, because then the people can come back and say, well, look, this doesn't match the voice mapping. You know what I mean? So it can't possibly be her. It's all very interesting. It's definitely a topic I'm sure we're going to continue on.
Yes.
We're going to give Deanna her own episode to just talk about this. No, I'm kidding. Because I know she's got a lot to say.
She would do it. She would do a full 45 minutes on her own.
I know she would.
Yeah.
So this topic is definitely, this discussion is not over by any means. We're definitely going to continue it. And I'm sure as time goes on and we keep developing this topic and AI keeps developing, we're going to have new things to talk about. Hopefully less things to worry about. But definitely the conversation is going to be ongoing. I would say keep having this conversation with your voiceover friends. Keep having this conversation with, not even just your voiceover friends, really anybody in your space. Because a lot of people, I don't think they understand the ramifications to some people of the development of AI and how it can be used in some places in a really great way, and then it also can be used very kind of nefariously in another way.
Yeah, I think as well, if you are feeling nervous about it, keep working on your craft, because as Deanna would say, are we quoting Deanna? As if we don't have thoughts of our own. But this is also a thought of mine. The human voice is so nuanced. And even just talking about commercial reads are, people think they're easy. And they are the commercial reads can be extremely difficult with the nuance and the emotion and what part of the human psyche you're targeting and all these kinds of different bits and pieces, which again, Deanna could do a full 4-hour episode on by herself.
Yeah, seriously. She's got the knowledge, man. She knows
all the knowledge. Dude. It's amazing. So, if you are feeling nervous about it, get good enough to get out of that tier where AI is inhabiting. Get out of that space. Get better, and work on your vocal technique, work on your script technique, work on your marketing, like from the episode before. Work on all of that stuff to make sure that you're bulletproof against it, because we don't know what it's going to turn into, but until we know, just get better. Keep working.
Keep working, get better, and on top of that, read every single contract you get with a fine-tooth comb.
Yeah.
Read the tiny script, read everything at the bottom. If it's hand it to a lawyer, if that's what it comes down to, because it's too important.
Yeah.
And voiceover artists really start putting AI clauses and things inside of your contracts. It's really important, super important. I would say to everywhere that you send your voice out to. Protect yourself. Protect your
yourself.
Voice. Yeah. Protect yourself. Protect your voice. This is where we are right now. So, do what you got to do. Yeah. And I, as sad as it is that this happened to Remy, I'm grateful that she's able
Yeah.
to share her story with us as kind of a cautionary tale and say like, hey, this happened to me. Here's how it happened. Make sure that you're protecting yourself and protecting your voice and your assets, your business, basically. So,
So we thank you, Remy, for going
Yes.
through a shit situation, because without you, we wouldn't have these clauses in our contracts. We wouldn't know what to be looking for.
yeah, for sure.
She probably also made a lot of money from, hopefully, from the publicity of this whole thing.
Fingers
So
crossed for her.
hopefully she got a whole lot of work out of it, you know,
Yeah.
and it
Well,
ended
let's
up
hope
being
so.
Yeah.
more lucrative than what it would have been anyway. So,
Yeah, and if
Well,
not
hope
yet,
so.
hopefully in the future. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? If
Yeah.
not now, then hopefully very, very soon. At least, you know, if nothing else, like her name is inside of our mouths and on our lips and we're talking about it. So if
Mhm.
anything else, hey, Remy, you're getting some exposure. So hopefully we helped you out. And we wish you all the best in your career and everything. And I think that's going to be it for us today here on the Good Talkers podcast. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for this kind of heavy discussion. It needs to happen, but you know, we're happy that you stuck around to listen. And we appreciate you and we thank you for being here and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.
See you guys.
Oh crap, I